Hey everybody, Brett Etheridge here, founder of Dominate Test Prep and the industry's leading SAT coaching program. And in this video, I want to talk to you about habits, and specifically, I want to give you 5 habits that if you learn them, if you implement them, will absolutely lead to huge results and huge success for you on the SAT. You know, they say that what we repeatedly do is who we are, right? We are what we repeatedly do. What we repeatedly eat certainly leads to whether or not we're overweight or trim and healthy. What we repeatedly read influences our thought processes and how we view the world and the types of things that we know and think about. And the types of things that we repeatedly do when we're preparing for the SAT, when you're studying for the SAT, will either kind of lead you down to a path. We could have bad habits that lead to poor results on test day, or we could have good habits that repeated daily, weekly, monthly between now and the SAT test date will lead to huge results for you. And that's what we're going to talk about. And actually, you know, there's a lot going on the board, and I'll get to all of it. But before I just kind of give you the 5 habits, I want to just kind of quickly introduce you to a framework for thinking about creating habits and how to kind of get what you want, not only on the SAT, but in life. So I think this will serve you well. And it actually, some of this comes from a book that I'm reading right now, I'm almost done with it, called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'll go ahead and provide a link kind of below this video that, you know, if you want to grab a copy, I certainly highly recommend it. And he talks about kind of how to create habits lifelong and break bad habits and create new good habits. And there's a lot going on, and I'm not going to kind of summarize the whole book. But one of the things that he does kind of right out of the gate is he kind of flips on its head the common way that a lot of us, I think about getting what we want out of life and creating success. And I've been guilty of this as well, where a lot of times we start with our desired outcome in mind. Apologize, don't want my pen to go dry. So we start with the desired outcome in mind, and we work kind of inwards in this framework. In other words, the outcome is what we want. We want to lose weight. We want to look skinnier, so that we want to lose 30 pounds. We want to be able to throw an 80-mile-an-hour fastball. We want to score a certain level on the SAT, right? That's our desired outcome, a desired score. We want to get into a certain school. And then what we do is we kind of work inward from there. So we set the goal, and there's nothing wrong with setting goals, and having goals are great, but we let the goals drive our processes, which are our actions, our habits, and ultimately we hope that our identity is going to be something that we want. If we just get the SAT score we need and we do some things to get that, then we will feel good about ourselves. We will be educated. We will be a college student. We'll try to derive our identity from achieving what we set our goals out to be to begin with. But what he says is, and I think this makes sense if you think about it, it's okay to have goals, but don't start there. Start by figuring out who you are at your core, what are your core values, and work outward from there. I am a disciplined person. I am a motivated person. I am studious. I am smart. I am college material. I am the type of person who works hard for what I want in life. So what is your core identity? What processes, what actions, what habits will naturally stem from that? I am athletic. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but if you adopt that mindset, and as an athletic person, I go to the gym every single day, I shoot 100 3-pointers every single morning before school, as a basketball player, my identity is a basketball. You might be sitting at the end of the bench on the JV basketball team. But if you've decided your identity is Michael Jordan, my identity is I am a varsity basketball player, and you do the things that you think a varsity basketball player would be doing, the outcome will derive from that. So that's his point, is let's focus on good habits. First, figure out what your identity is, and that's a whole separate topic, and maybe I'll do another video about that, but figuring out your why. Why do you want to go to college? What type of person do you want to be in the world? That core identity will drive the types of decisions you make on a daily basis. But when it comes to the SAT and when it comes to going to college, let's start with good processes, good habits that, if executed on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, will naturally lead to the outcomes that you want. You don't have to start there. That will happen. You will improve your SAT. You will get the score you need. You will end up getting into the college you want to go to if you do these things, which now I'm about to teach you, right? So, drum roll please. What are the 5 habits that will lead to success for you on the SAT? A few of them might be obvious, so kind of bear with me, but I'm going to flesh them out a little bit and give you some ideas. And a couple of them might be a little bit outside the box, but I guarantee you will be equally important. But the first one is to read, right? And I want you to increase the amount you're reading by 30 minutes a day. Now you might be thinking, Brett, I already read so much in school. Yeah, but are you reading the types of things that you're going to see on the SAT, the types of passages that you'll have to read and answer questions about on the reading portion? On the writing portion, are you reading complex sentences with the type of grammar and structure that you're going to have to poke holes in and figure out how to correct? And are you reading that type of stuff? And I would recommend starting with real former SAT passages and reading prompts, right? That's a great place to start because that's obviously the type of stuff you'll see. But then seek out additional college level reading material, right? I don't want you just to start reading more John Grisham novels. I want you to read Foreign Affairs Magazine and National Geographic and Scientific America and the types of denser college level material that will show up on the reading section of the SAT. And so I know you're probably already reading a lot in school. If you're not a reader, you need to be. It's where your vocabulary is going to improve. It's where your comprehension is going to improve. It's where your grammar and your ability to identify idioms, all of that can be taught for sure, but it will come more naturally the more you read. And by the way, this is a habit that you should develop now and continue lifelong. I remember when I was in high school, I used to think, man, if I could just get through, once I'm done with school, like I don't have to think about reading all this, the Shakespeare and all this stuff anymore. But the reality is, reading has given me some of the best things in my life, ideas that I've been exposed to, things that I have learned, ideas that I've gotten from reading. I love immersing myself in fiction, and I love learning things from nonfiction, right? Reading should be a habit that you have lifelong. But I'll get off my soapbox now and get back to habits to help you prepare for the SAT. So that one's pretty obvious. I think the second one will be obvious as well, and that is that you need to learn and practice daily for the SAT. Now, I say daily because the tendency is to save the SAT for the weekends. Or just spend a couple days a week, maybe the weekends, Friday afternoon, something like that. But if you can do a little something every single day, it will yield better results. And it doesn't have to be a ton every single day. It could be a block of 10 practice questions. It could be watching one of my videos. It could be, attending a webinar. Like whatever it is, you need to do something a little bit every single day because the small daily actions compound and add up over time. The analogy I use is if you were trying to get in shape, or maybe you are an athlete, right? Let's say you're trying to be the best, basketball player you can. What do you think is going to get better results? Person A, who just practices on Saturday, and maybe he shoots like 1,000 shots on Saturday, but does nothing Monday through Friday or Sunday, right? Or the person who goes out and just does 100 shots a day, every single day, that repetition, that daily repetition, right? Which person's going to get better results? Well, even though the person who does something every day, just 100 a day, 100 still sounds like a lot, but 100 a day times 7 days a week, that's only 700 shots. Wait, but this person's doing 1,000 on Saturday? Yeah, but I think we can all agree that the person who does a little something every day is going to be better in the long run for it. Same thing if you're going to the gym to lose weight. Daily action matters, and the same thing applies on the SAT. Now, notice what I say, learn and practice. Where should you be practicing? You need a good resource, right? Obviously, the official SAT guide is the best source of real former SAT questions, straight from the makers of the SAT. It's got great practice tests in here, but here's the thing. There's not a lot of instruction in here. In fact, there's almost no instruction in here. It's just a bunch of practice tests. So you need to practice, but you also need to learn. You need something to learn. And something like my coaching program, right? You can get literally started for $1. You can start in my coaching program. Head over to dominatetestprep.com/SAT-monthly or just /SAT to learn more information about it. But you need a coaching program. You need somebody, a course, something teaching you the underlying stuff, the theory, the strategy. It'd be like if you were trying to learn to play golf and all you did was just literally, okay, I've never played golf before, but I'm gonna go just play practice holes. Like I'm just gonna go hole number 1, hole number 2, but nobody's actually taught you how to swing a golf club. Nobody's taught you how to putt in a straight line. Nobody has looked at your swing when things aren't going well and said, oh, here's why every time you try to hit the ball goes off to the right. Nobody's actually taught you the stuff that you need to then practice. So you need both. So, again, would love to work with you. Seek out somebody like me to teach you and work with you. And then you also need to practice, which leads me to point number 3, and that is to develop the habit of taking pains. Now, what in the world does that mean? Let me talk about the reverse of this a second, the bad habit that a lot of students that I've worked with have. And that is this, and I've been guilty of this myself, which is you're working practice problems, maybe from my worksheets or from this book or whatever it is, and you get a little bit stuck. Maybe you look at the question and you're not even quite sure how to begin. That's all the type of stuff that I teach in my coaching sessions and videos. Here's when you see this type of question, here's immediately how to proceed. But even if you haven't learned that type of stuff yet, you maybe are working the problem, you get halfway through, and here's what happens. You feel stuck. What do you do? What do you do? Here's the bad habit. The bad habit is that a lot of students will flip to the back of the book and start reading the answer explanation, right? Makes sense, makes you feel good in the moment, makes you, oh, okay, and maybe you even understand the explanation. Maybe you're like, okay. And some learning does happen that way, to be sure. But what's a better habit? A better habit is to create the habit of taking pains, wrestling with the question a little bit longer, doing whatever it takes to maybe come at the problem a slightly different way, apply a non-standard strategy, go back to your notes, go back to one of my videos, go somewhere and try to have the breakthrough on your own. Why? 2 reasons. 1, on the real SAT, you can't flip to the back. There's no answer key. So why would you want to practice that way? Now, at some point, you have to learn the stuff, and at some point, you can't just sit there all day long. I get it. But you need to practice like you're going to on the real SAT. There's no cheat sheet. You have to come up with an answer, right? So you need to practice wrestling with it. You need to go to your notes and remember, I don't totally remember the rules of 30, 60, 90 right triangles. And so, but I'm going to go back and rewatch a video or go to my notes or go to a YouTube video or whatever it is, have that breakthrough. Oh, okay, now I remember how to get the hypotenuse. Boom. Now I see how that's the same thing as the diameter of this circle. And so, okay, and the rules of circle. And once you have those breakthroughs, once you wrestle with it and figure it out, that's permanent. That's called learning. That will stick. Those types of breakthroughs are way more powerful than just flipping to the back and getting a short-term answer. Oh, okay, fine, I see how to do this problem. Yeah, but what if you see a similar problem in the future? Take pains. Get in the habit of taking pains. And that brings us to habit number 4. Get in the habit of taking regular practice tests. Now I say take a practice test a week. That kind of depends on how long before you have between now and kind of the next SAT date. I know a lot of students, you'll probably take the SAT more than once, or maybe you're watching this video and you only have a few weeks before the last chance you have to do well on the SAT, then definitely take a practice test a week. I think taking lots of practice tests is important for lots of reasons. Number one, it helps you apply what you're learning, right? So you still need that source of learning. A course like mine, office hours, coaching programs, whatever it is, a book, if you have a good book that actually teaches the theory, there aren't a lot out there. Most of the books are just practice questions, but whatever it is, you need to apply what you're learning to practice problems in a timed environment. So that's one of the values. The other is you need benchmarks to show your progress. That's where confidence comes from, and improving and recognizing that, hey, I am making progress. I'm getting more of these types of questions right. Confidence derives from that. It's where you hone and develop your time management so that on test day you're not running out of time or leaving too much time at the end of a section. Lots of reasons to take regular practice tests, but it's kind of the check-in point. And I already showed you this, but I mean, this is a great place to start. Certainly 8 real former SAT practice tests, and then there are other resources. If you have any questions about that, you can post in the comments area below this video, but get your hand on additional practice tests, but I would certainly start there. And this brings me to the final point, and this is the one that might seem a little outside the box, but I guarantee you that is just important as the other 4 and will pay huge dividends for you, not just on the SAT, but in life in general. And that is to develop the habit of expressing gratitude. Get in the habit daily of expressing gratitude. Brett, how does that have anything to do with the SAT? Because it speaks to your mindset. It speaks to your outlook on life. It speaks to your positivity, which translates, right? We can either come to the SAT from a place of fear, a place of anxiety, a fear of, oh my gosh, why do I have to take this test? And I'll never do, like a place of just of negativity. Or we can recognize the gratitude and have gratitude for the opportunity to even think about going to college. Because I was in the Peace Corps. You may have heard some of my story. I lived in rural Africa for 2 years, surrounded by people living on $1 a day, where kids didn't even make it through middle school because they had to work in the rice fields, and maybe they were AIDS orphans, whatever it was. How lucky are you to be in a situation where you can even think about not only graduating high school, but going on to education beyond that, to higher education, to getting a college degree that will open up doors and possibilities for you, the opportunity to increase your earning potential, to broaden your mind, because you're in the top 1%, certainly the top 5%, of people worldwide thinking about taking the SAT and going to college and beyond, and you should be grateful for that. I start every single morning expressing gratitude for things in my life, having a little quiet time and praying and thinking about things that I'm thankful for. Even if I have a stressful day, even if things aren't going great, you can always find something to be grateful for. And that applies for you, with your family, with your health, with anything that you can think of to be grateful, and think about how that would apply for the SAT as well. Things you're grateful for as it pertains to college and high school and the SAT. And like I said, I think it's just something that will help your life in general. But again, I'll get off the soapbox now and just say that I guarantee, because I've seen it firsthand in my own experience, taking the SAT and then other graduate level exams, but with the students I've worked with as well, that if you can get yourself to a point where you have the right positive, grateful, forward-looking mindset, it absolutely translates to the freedom that you feel on test day, which definitely leads to clarity of thought, more right answers, and then you'll be grateful for the score that you ultimately get at the end of it. So Be, do, have. I don't think I kind of talked about that. This is a simple acronym to remind you to work from the inside out. Figure out who you want to be. Who are you at your core? What are your values as it pertains to what you want out of life? And then what are you going to do? What actions, what doing naturally extends from that? And these habits are the doing that will serve you well to have eventually the outcome you want of a killer SAT score, dominating the SAT, so that you can get into the college or university of your choice and move on towards your future. So be, do, have. I'm excited for you. I hope you've learned something. Hopefully you're have gratitude for this video. If you do, post it in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Please, in fact, yes, please leave a comment. What did you learn? What was an aha, kind of what's maybe a habit that you had never really thought about, but you say, hey, you know what, I think that will help me as I'm studying for the SAT. What's maybe something you're grateful for from this video? And if you have some success habits that you implement in your own life that have been serving you well, share them. I'd love to read them. I'd love to kind of benefit from what you're doing, and the rest of our community would as well. So I'll leave you with that. I'll look forward to reading your comments below. Go out and be, do, have so that you can dominate the SAT.